Hello. All right. So I think for today and tomorrow, it's good to review what I said with the last one, as per Mars and Saturn being conjunct. So I would recommend checking out that for that. Long story short, it's good to just be focused on working with the pressure that we might be feeling well, we're all going to be feeling in one way or another, um, on practical projects, helping us to move forward, helping us to make progress without worrying about it too much, without becoming too tyrannical as per results, not focusing on that too much. That is important during this time. Yes, we have all this energy. It's like, okay, I want to do stuff. I want to do meaningful work. And again, if we're not able to work because of disruption, because of the corona stuff, then focusing on doing meaningful work in your home, with family, uh, as per some kind of new hobby or developing some kind of skill or technique that will help you with work when you are able to return back to it. So that's kind of the gist of it, but there's some more stuff, so I would recommend checking that out. But yeah, so I think something that's really nice, that I didn't really focus on too much with the video from 2 days ago, was this last day, and even a lot of today, with Moon and Venus being conjunct in Taurus. That is such a lovely conjunction. So nice, so enjoyable. So that's really nice that we got to feel that, and experience that. So nice. But yeah, so Moon is in Gemini now, and it will be for the next 2 days. And again, I'm doing a video every other day or every other day whenever the Moon enters a new energy, like per usual. But I'm sticking with it, because there's so much good stuff to know, especially during this kind of time period. So, what's important for the next 2 days? Um, with Moon in Gemini and Mercury in Pisces, we're still in we have 3 days of, 2 or 3 days of the Mercury retrograde, post shadow period. And what that means is basically we still have basically, Mercury is not where, it's still making its way back to the point where it first started going retrograde, uh, a month ago, something like that. So we're still working through a little bit, especially with Mercury being in Pisces and conjunct Neptune. There's a lot of beautiful things about that energy, but we're still working through a little bit of confusion or mental lack of clarity. Um, so that's something that's good to keep in mind over the next 2 days, is to not give in to anxiety, to not let our thoughts spiral out of control and our emotions spiral out of control. The beautiful gift during this time is to ask ourselves what we're afraid of, to get to the deeper part of our subconscious. Trying to focus too much logically on answers, especially over the next 2 days. Of course, logic always has its place in our lives, but especially for the next couple of weeks with Mercury being in Pisces and it being conjunct Neptune in Pisces, the more that we're connecting with our subconscious and allowing our higher self to come out, so the superconscious as well, the spark of divine within us that transforms us from just being a mere evolved monkey animal, into being our higher selves, being human, having cosmic consciousness and being aware, being self-aware, having that beautiful knowledge of self. The difference is by connecting with our deeper core, connecting with our subconscious, understanding what's going on within for us as individuals, and allowing that to raise through the conscious ceiling of just focusing on base things or distractions. Not that there's anything wrong with the base things in life of enjoying food and shelter and sex and all these things, but to be able to rise to our higher selves, that's really where peace is. That's really where empowerment is, where we're able to enjoy the present moment because our mind isn't constantly trying to control anything. It's seeking to understand and enlighten and have insight and to guide effectively, but it's not trying to control anything. That is what we really should be reaching for, in general, but especially for the next two weeks, something like that, with Mercury being in Pisces and it being conjunct Neptune, like I was saying. And for the next 2 days especially, this is with Moon and Gemini, a beautiful opportunity to get deeper. So, okay, why am I feeling this? What am I focusing on? Why am I thinking this? And not why isn't I must have answers, but kind of like asking the question and then allowing our minds to kind of wander. And if, well, that makes sense. That feels right. It could be that. Oh, also that feels right. It could be that. Um, as always, if we can't quite find the answer from within, finding outside sources to help with that. But I think a lot of this is coming more so from, I think it's crucial in general, but especially during this time period, to really be asking these questions and reflecting and introspecting. So having other people deliver information to us in conversations, in readings, of course, as always, I'm doing readings. Feel free to get in contact with me. That has its place. We can't necessarily know everything, of course, on our own, especially since we all have blind spots and whatnot. But even in accounting for that, it's good. It's helpful to get other people's perspectives. So this is a great time, of course, like every Moon and Gemini transit, to communicate with others, to have fun and communicating and sharing information and laughing, and or if it's more serious, because again, especially with all this Mercury Pisces energy, um, going deep and understanding your feelings, understanding other people's feelings. But it's also important, like I was saying, to spend time reflecting. So not to spend all the time focusing on what other people think or making sure they know what I think, or all that is Gemini stuff. The Pisces energy has to be accounted for, especially since Mercury, which rules Gemini, is in Pisces. So this moon in Gemini is a large influence from Pisces energy. So I think as per meditation, just allowing yourself to flow from the subconscious, that's really the key, is saying really what you feel and saying what you think if it feels like there's space to, but there's so much room for people to be talking past each other and to have different feelings about things, different motives, different perspectives. So I think it's really important to listen over the next couple of days in many ways, more so than speaking. Of course, speaking, like I was saying, if there's room for it, but not focusing on it too much, especially with the sun in Aries. That energy can potentially be a bit focused on the self excessively. Again, not necessarily. There's beautiful things about the energy as per optimism and positivity and moving forward, and it's great. But I think it's really wise to refrain from trying to control anything during this time, trying to make sure other people agree with what you're thinking or feeling, or to even necessarily let them know that. Again, if it's natural and it flows, beautiful. But then this is true for in general, but especially over the next 2 days, it's good to just let it flow. And if it flows one way, great. If it flows another way, great. As long as you feel like you are in connection with your own thoughts and feelings, that's really, I think, what's important over the next 2 days in many ways. Alrighty, well, infinite love to you, my friends. Namaste. And I really recommend you check out that video from a couple days ago if you haven't already. There's a little bit more info there as per the current conjunction of Mars and Saturn, as well as Jupiter, and that could be really helpful. But a quick thing that I didn't say for that video or this video is it's good to be setting goals, but again, don't get too focused on it. I guess we did cover it a little bit, but it's really important to not focus on it too much, because that Jupiter and Capricorn can tend to get very controlling and very, it can get too focused on results instead of enjoying the process of achieving those results. Peace. And for those who want a reading, as always, on YouTube it's in the About section, the contact info, and on Instagram it's in the About section.